Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with not an episode of any given show. No, usually tonight on Wednesdays I do 50 Years in the Dungeon, where I interview folks who've been in the game industry, and while we talk, I do cartoons or cartoon homages to classic pieces of D&D and not just D&D, but gaming art of all sorts. And it's a lot of fun. I do that, and I will continue to do that on most Wednesdays. But this Wednesday, I'm doing something a little different. Not very different, mind you, but just a little different. I've got a freelance project that I'm working on. I've got stuff going on, and just taking a little time to have what I'm calling studio time with Stan. I'm going to do some drawing, very similar to what I often do. Open to fielding questions and comments from folks in the chat. If anyone shows up, I don't know how many people will, since this is not an official show. But I'm gonna be sitting here drawing and talking. And I would guess if no one shows in and I'm just talking to myself, maybe I won't do a lot of talking. We'll see. So I'm going to be doing, working on a project that I've got coming up. I guess I could tell you a little bit about that. I do freelance assignments for various publishers and individuals who want to hire me to do it. And sometimes I get one stacked on top of another, and so something has to take priority over another thing, and that means sometimes a smaller project might get shuffled around more than I would like it to, and that's what happened with this particular project. I've been meaning to work on it for quite a while. I have a sketch, which you'll see in a minute. Michael in chat says all of my shows are official shows. Well, they are officially mine, but this is not part of a series. I guess in theory, this could be the start of a new series, the Studio Time with Stan series. In which case, welcome to the Studio Time with Stan series. Thanks for dropping in, Michael. Good to see you. Yes, this is going to be a cover drawing for an adventure that's going to be published by my friend. He's been a guest on my other shows before, Bill Slavicsek, former VP of RPGs at Wizards and game designer all around. He and I have worked on a number of projects together. And I've done drawings for him for a couple of previous adventures. These are they are open gaming license or compatible, D&D compatible. Let's just call it. I don't need to worry about proper terms. This is not it's D&D compatible adventures that he's written to and published two. This is the third one, and I did the covers and interior art for the first two, and he's asked me to do it for the third, which makes me happy. If you want to look them up, they're on drive-through games, drive-through RPG. Look up Bill Slavicsek Designs. A Slavisek's a little hard for some people who aren't used to it. It's SLAVICSEK, Slavicsek. Bill Slavicsek Designs is the name of his publishing arm, his self-publishing arm. Was I the sole artist? Yeah, I did all the art for both of the adventures, and I believe that as long as I can get stop pushing it off my plate too much, I will be the sole artist for this one. Let me grab my iPad here. I'll tell you again. I'm going to grab my iPad. I do all my drawing on an iPad Pro with the app Procreate and an Apple Pencil. They do not sponsor me for announcing these things, but I do it anyway because folks want to know what I'm using, and this way I can tell you. So let me grab here. You know what? I'm going to pull this up and I'll show you the stuff I've done for the previous products. So let's see, you come here, and this is the file full of stuff I did for Bill's project. The first one was called The First Dungeon, and this was the cover image I did for The First Dungeon. It's a hole in the ground in the middle of a town with a sign that claims that this was the very first dungeon ever put into the world. And in there, you know what, I guess, so yeah, these are the pieces that I drew for spot illustrations. I guess with the background turned black, you won't be able to see it quite as clearly, but here we go. There's some NPCs you might run into, and there's a encounter from inside the dungeon. I don't want to say too much about it, but here we go. We've got a couple of other pieces that are in that project. There we go. That's it. It's a relatively short adventure. These are oh, you know what? Here, let me reach over next to me. I've got the other one. I've got the printed version. You can buy them as PDFs or as print-on-demand versions off Drive-Thru. The second one, so that was the first dungeon. Second one is called Radiant Storms. Here's a look. It's a digest-sized book. It's a 9x6, 8.5 by 5.5. I'm not sure. It's a digest-sized book, and if we look, kind of thumb through it, you can see it's full of stuff. And there are maps and my drawings in there. There's another drawing of mine on the back cover. The Radiant Storms. By, there we go, Bill Slavicsek. Look up Slavicsek Productions. Right, I need to look that up each time. Slavicsek Design, sorry. Slavicsek Designs on Drive-Thru, or look up the Radiant Storms Slavicsek, and it'll give you a link over to where you can pick up one of these. But if I close my book here and I open this, I can show you the art from that. There's that cover with the original version of it, and that is the person who gives you your adventure. That's it. The person who draws you in. This is a kind of a weird little planar node tavern where you walk in and it's bigger on the inside than it seems on the outside. It's got infinite doors, or seemingly infinite doors. Hallways, doors leading to hallways with more doors. You can get many places in the multiverse with it. And we had some other. There is in fact a Radiant Storm, and you saw that was on the back cover. A character smacking a thing, and here are some other pieces that are art from the interior. It's a Dark Knight and his owlbear, who you can run into. Not sure you'll be happy you did. And of course, we've got some hobgoblins attacking some dwarves. That might be it. Nope. And we go. Yeah, some spot illustrations that are in there. I think that's it. Oh, more spot illustrations that are in there. There's that woman from the cover, and that other dwarf that's swinging the big hammer. And this crazy thing right there, that is the piece I'm working on. That's a sketch that I did for the cover for the next adventure. The next adventure is I believe supposed to be called something like No Experience Necessary. And the, the concept for the cover is uh, there in the foreground are some just possessed children, like to be very much in silhouette with glowing eyes. This was my interpretation. I think Village of the Damned, kind of weird children with glowing eyes, and behind them is a carnival uh, ringmaster esque character who is uh, responsible for stealing the children, causing that. And behind that is a gloom dragon. That's the piece I'm drawing today. I did this sketch a while ago, and it got approval, and so I need to finish drawing it. I need to draw this thing. That's what I'm working on today. Um, Now the thing is, I've not found the time to get this done in my regular week. I haven't found time to make this take an afternoon or an evening and just focus on this. So I've decided to do that today uh, because you don't leave clients hanging, and particularly when they're friends, you don't leave them hanging. And so I thought I'd do this here. This will get me to focus on the drawing for an hour or two, a little while, and also do a little promotion for Bill and his adventures. Like you can, as I say, you can buy the first two over on Drive-Thru RPG right now, and I give a thumbs up. They were very fun to read. I'm not surprising, right? Bill's a really good designer. So that's what I'm doing. That's the work that's going on today. Meanwhile, while I'm doing that, I have no problem sitting here and chatting with you all, as I often do. If you have something you would like to hear me crack wise about, or have an opinion about, or if there's stories you want to hear me tell that I haven't gotten to on, maybe something that I started or mentioned on a previous show, stories about my time at Wizards or West End or Upper Deck or freelancing, stories about my time in Japan, uh, art questions, any old thing. You can pop them there in the chat. If you are watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, they will probably show up here for me to read, and I can start talking. I can start answering questions and gabbing with you. Otherwise, this is going to be a fun evening for me of hanging around and doing some drawing. If you can maybe just put me on in the background and watch me do some sketching, and when I have something to say, I'll keep you entertained. Sound good? Sounds good to me. Anyway, that's the plan for tonight. Let's switch over again to this view where I can get going. So what I've got right here, as I say, is the rough sketch of what this will be. I need to now do a finished pencil sketch, and from there do some inks and then some colors. I don't know how far I'll get tonight. I don't know. Having done the layout already, I should definitely finish the pencils. I may even finish the inks tonight. I don't think we'll get to the coloring. But here we go. So I've got the layout here. The what I showed you before. I've dropped the opacity down so that it's faded back. I can draw over the top of it with my blue pencil, like I like to do. I'm going to be drawing over the reddish purplish lines there. I guess they're pink now. for the children and the ringmaster. I'm going to start with the ringmaster. Um, Here we go. He is, as I believe, based on what I was reading, he's human. He runs a carnival which comes to town and steals children away. Now, when Bill came to me with this, my first questions to him was, if he was going to be all right with the fact that my drawings are cartoony. But he knew, but he certainly came through. He knew that, and that's what he said to me. He knows what I do. He was. We've known each other a long time. He'd never seen me do things like what I do for the 50 Years in the Dungeon show, where I was doing the homage to classic D&D art. So it's a little. It's not as cartoony as a lot of what I do. It's serious in what it's taking on. It's not gag oriented. I guess that's what I mean. It's still, what I do is very cartoony for those drawings. But it's not humorous, or not intentionally so anyway. Michael says he loves the "something wicked this way comes" vibe. Well, okay, so I'm successful in drawing that in. That's what I got out of reading the carnival comes and steals the children. I don't know exactly how much Bill wants to lean into that overall, but yeah. So success on my part, and that's what I was thinking. And so I'm glad it came across. Hello, Dale. Humorous, yes. It's not a bone in the leg, right? Humorous is a leg bone. I think. Either that or an arm bone. Hello, Tina Christine. Thank you for joining in. You picked an interesting night to come by, in that this is not my usual it's a slight variation from what I usually am doing. I don't have a subject or someone to interview. I'm not working on a homage to a piece of art that everyone knows. So usually when I'm drawing, there'll be a reference. So I'll have a reference for what I'm drawing up on the side, and you can see me trying to draw that in, quite literally. Trying to echo that and create a piece of art, cartoon art, that that gets that vibe across. Here I'm going, this is a complete, from scratch, this is a stand drawing. But it's not as I was saying before, it's not a gag cartoon like I do on the Thursday night shows. Not so sure. So I like the way this his eyes are coming across here. Not so sure about how his mouth is looking. A little too. Give him a little soul patchy beard to go along with that curly mustache. It says the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang guy. He's, you know what? I guess. I mean, that's a they are, I'm going to say, literary relatives. I would say the guy with the news, the children catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Says, let me just see what's going on here. So I'm on Wednesday, and so yes, I do, on Wednesdays, I do the 50 Years in the Dungeon show, and on Thursdays, I do a show that I call Random Encounters, which is improv cartooning. I use random encounter tables. It's about to fall into the show's opening pattern. Random encounter tables, like the kind you use in tabletop role-playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons. And together with input from folks who happen to be in the live chat, I then randomly select a type of character. Usually they're D&D monsters or D&D characters, or fantasy monsters or characters. And a situation or a job or activity, and then I draw that while folks are watching for all y'all's entertainment and mine. Because folks who've been before, why do I do it? Because drawing's fun, and I do it as a way to, just to have some fun and to encourage everyone to draw along too. Can't really draw along here, though I do encourage you, if you're watching and you like doing this, just grab a pen and paper and just draw whatever you want to draw. I'm doing this particular piece, but all right, here's the other thing. I very often draw in the three-fingered cartoon style, but for drawings like this, I gotta make sure I get into the 5-fingered, 4 fingers in the thumb. Now I'm going to draw this in layers, as I always do. So I'm drawing he's going to be hidden behind those kids. And I'm going to draw the whole thing, draw him out complete, so that I can maneuver things around after I finish them. It's unclear to me exactly what part of his him will be hidden behind the kids. Dale says in regards to the child catcher and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang that film is like it's like two entirely separate movies. It is. I went back and watched Chitty Chitty Bang Bang for the first time in a long time recently, and the yeah, it gets really dark and really weird after they go off to rescue Grandpa into that Bavarian country. I mean, the book is written by Ian Fleming, so it's not especially uh, surprising that it might be a little weird and strange. But it is. Yeah, Dale, you're totally right. It gets it's dark and weird and terrifying. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure I'm going to keep. I'm looking at this, and I might even. Again, one of the reasons I'm drawing the whole of him is I might even take the whole thing of him and make him bigger when when it comes to doing the actual layout for what the finished piece is going to look like. Um, Hello, Linnea. Thank you for popping by. Good to see you. Good to see you too. Um, Michael says, I think Bend Knobs and Broomsticks is favorite Disney live action. You know what? I remember really liking I remember liking Bed Knobs and Broomsticks a lot. But I also realized that one of the reasons I did was when I was growing up, there was a Disney magazine that I don't remember the name of it, but it had a lot of it. It's the spiritual uh, predecessor to the Disney Adventures magazine that came out. And for all I know, may still be coming out, but came out in the '90s and had a lot of comics, um, anywhere between single page uh, uh, short comic stories and serialized stories in it. And they had a serialized Bedknobs and Broomsticks story, which was just a story about another soccer game on the island. I can't remember the name of the island from Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I'm sure someone will put that in the chat in a minute. Um, but it was, you know, that one of the big animated pieces from Bedknobs and Broomsticks, where they go to the island and there's a soccer game. Well, this was a serialized cartoon of a, a soccer game without the uh, characters from the movie, the human characters from the movie. It was just the king and the good animals and the rough animals. I don't say bad animals. The king's players and the kind of uh, more, I guess it was the red team and the blue team, whatever that says. Um, uh, I see Tina. Tina says that the toot sweets, that's there to calm you down for the scary parts. In now we're switching back to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Toot Sweets. I as I said, I rewatched Chitty Chitty Bang Bang fairly recently, and I had not known it, um, but it became obvious to me as I was watching it recently that the um, the music for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was done by the same team that did Mary Poppins, and there a lot of the musical numbers just feel like they are. Uh, we need a song like this. Let's do another one like Mary Poppins, only different. Um, the most obvious one being Dick Van Dyke's "The Old Bamboo," as opposed to um, "Step in Time" from Mary Poppins. Those are two of a kind. Those songs, and I love them both. The island of Naboombu. No, Naboombu. Yes, thank you, Dale or Michael. Thank you. All right, so I think that's what um, our ringmaster is going to look like. And I'm also still thinking even more that he's going to wind up getting made a little larger. But I'm going to go to a new layer. I'm going to take him and drop him out. Well, no, I guess I better leave him in and just drop his opacity down some. And for the new layer, I will grab a purple color. Is this... I'm doing this in CMYK color mode. Huh. I am, aren't I? Look here. Canvas information. Color profile. CMYK. Alright. Well, let me change that before I do the final color. So maybe we'll go back to RGB. But come here and pick a dark purple to do the drawings of the kids. Was it Sherman Brothers who wrote the songs? Yes, it was the Sherman Brothers. That's what I was not coming up with off the top of my head. Oh, I gotta be careful in that. I don't want the kids to look. I need this to still look fantastical, right? These are not modern day kids or a modern day um, ringmaster. Although his outfit can certainly look like a classical. I'm not sure. See, I'm kind of waffling on the fact. So I want this all to be them to be very much in silhouette, but I have to draw a certain amount of detail because I don't want it to be full silhouette. I guess I'm going to draw them as if we'll get to color them fully, and I'll worry about how the shading will work when I do that in color. So again, kind of like what I was saying with the Ringmaster, very often when I'm doing these drawings, I will draw, put in more detail that I know will not be present in the final piece, because it helps me to get the shapes and the details right that do show up. And if I put them on separate layers, like I was saying I'm going to do for the Ringmaster, I can lift him up and he can be a standalone illustration all on his own. Um, yeah. And when I did the sketch, I wanted to make sure that I had kids with different face shapes, and some boys and some girls. This is might be an interesting time to talk about this. When I talk to people who don't usually draw, and they say I can't draw anything, and I've actually done some events like at local libraries and stuff. Say with the topic being everyone can draw, even you, and it's all wow. I'm just kind of stumbling with this tonight. Um, if you start with basic shapes, all drawings come from basic shapes. You can't always see it. Right? The quicker the artist gets into going into details, the more you lose the fact that everything is being made from basic shapes. And the closer you are to being the beginning of your artistic journey, the more you want to rely on them. And I do this exercise where you can make faces out of anything, right? We as humans are are we've evolved to recognize. Our brains recognize patterns, and if you can stick any shape, if you have any kind of just let's come here. There's a rhombus of some sort, but if you put two eyes and a smiley on it, it looks like a face. We read it as a face. So, um, new artists, people who are learning to draw, very often they struggle. I got to get the head shape right. I have to get it. Don't worry about that. I say, just pick a shape. Just start with a shape. In fact, I will say, put a bunch of. Everyone draw a circle or roughly a circle. Everyone draw a triangle. Everyone draw kind of a square. And then you can put eyes and a mouth on it. Now, if I put them there, that looks like one kind of face. If I put the eyes down here and the mouth down there, this looks kind of like a different kind of face. Or eyes out wide, a little mouth in the middle. And you can create very simple characters and start doing basic cartoons by having those as your characters. Just uh, um, you got circle-headed guy and rectangle-headed guy and triangle-headed guy. And I don't mean necessarily boy when I say guy. I just mean why is that showing up funny? And if you figure them out, you can tell stories with characters like that. And there are people that do cartoons, do regular comics, and that's as detailed as they get in their character design. But having said that, when I start doing characters like these, I start thinking in those terms somewhat. So this first kid has a head which is kind of oval shaped. The second kid has a head which is kind of lemon wedge or almond shaped. That's what I think when I'm doing it. And then I wind up putting the details on them. This one has eyes up high. This one has smaller eyes set in the middle. This one's got a bigger nose. This one has a little nose up here. Wide mouth at the bottom. Little mouth kind of at the bottom. And the the thing you want to do is have those kinds of differences in your characters. Not everyone should have the same shape head. Not everyone should have the same shape, same eyes positioned in the same place on the body, on the face. Different ears, like the kid see over here. This kid's ears are a little smaller and up higher. This kid's ears are bigger and set a little lower on his head. Hello, Shadowmain. Shadowmain. Hi, welcome. Glad you can make it. Um, Michael says, I know earlier in your career you did graphic design, but do I ever still do it? As little as I can manage. You know what? So I did do graphic design when I got hired by West End Games. It was to basically do graphic design and layout. Um, but I wasn't very good at it. I didn't enjoy it really. I don't like doing graphic design, and I'll tell you what, I'm really not very good at it. So for me, when I doing work for myself, uh, I I do graphic design, and then I have to do page layouts, or I've got to design my web page for Stanx.com. I designed the web page. Um, but I'm not. It's not what I excel at, and I don't really like it. And I don't think I do an especially creative job at it. I don't have a lot of good insights. I don't. Um, so yeah, I don't do a lot of graphic design, and people have wanted to hire me to do like logos for them, and I usually don't do those because while I will more often convince them to, for a lesser amount, hire me to design a character that can be put into a logo. The finished logo is a different thing, and it's much more graphic design oriented, and I'm not as good as that. I feel like she feels like she's a little forward in front of the other two. I don't want that feeling. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make her a little smaller, move her back a little like that, and so yes, I don't. The answer really is no. I don't do. Well, I don't do graphic design if I can help it. Um, Chris Andrews says, for some reason, this drawing is reminding me of Power Pack. Well, you know, kids. I'm drawing kids, so it's a good thing to be reminded of. Power Pack was a great comic. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it was a Marvel comic from the uh, 80s, the mid to late 80s into the 90s, about a group of kids who uh, kind of Green Lantern esque got their powers from an alien, from encountering an alien, and their yeah. So it was a super. It existed in the Marvel universe, in the mainline Marvel universe. They ran into characters like Spider Man and Wolverine, but they were kids and they were having uh, it, it's an all supposed to be an all ages style comic, a family friendly kind of comic. Now I want another one with a longish head here. I'm going to have another girl. So yeah, I mean I'm not intentionally trying to communicate Power Pack here, except that it's these are definitely supposed to be kids. Chris, I guess you having come in a little late, not that not that you should have been here earlier, but in the middle, I'm working on a what's going to be a cover image for an adventure that Bill Slavicsek is doing for his personal personal line, Bill Slavicsek Enterprises. It's going to be an adventure. We've got, if there's a thing that I'm most closely referencing, it's like Village of the Damned. These are kids who have been stolen by this carnival master type character and are under his sway. And as I said before, this is the third adventure that Bill is doing. If you look up Bill Slavicsek Enterprises or the Radiant Storms and and Slavicsek, 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 they will take you to the Drive-Thru RPG page where the first two adventures are currently available. He ran, I think Bill ran at least one of these adventures at Page. And he ran them at he ran one of them at Gamehole Con last year. All right, then we're going to have one more head over here on the side. Probably the idea of he's closest to the camera, we're only getting to see part of it. And there's another thing you think about when you're drawing is kind of when I'm doing cartoons on Thursday, everything's very much on a flat plane, mostly, or a very simple forward and back, forward and back. Here I'm trying to get the idea that these kids are in a curve, and they're kind of a semicircle around the camera with the ringmaster guy behind them. This kid's got almost a Linus Van Pelt. But if you look at Charlie Brown characters, talking about simple shapes, right? Charlie Brown's got a circular head with ears. Linus has a I don't know what you call that, kind of a bean-shaped head. As does Lucy. So again, I'm trying to think in different shapes. So this character here has got that bean-shaped head. But I'm going to give him hair too. He's not going to be Charlie Brown bald. Well, it's interesting. I was reading a fair bit about Schulz this past year. It having been what would have been his 100th birthday last year, and I got to be careful here. He needs to still look like a kid. Right now, he's reading to adult, I think. Some people look at Charlie Brown and think he's bald. I know a lot of the time when I was growing up, I did. I thought Charlie Brown was. He just didn't have. He just. I wasn't sure what that thing on his forehead was. I thought it was like something like eyebrow ridges, or just kind of like his confused uh, state. But the idea in Schultz's head was that Charlie Brown had very close cropped blonde hair. Uh, there we go. Those are our kids. We turn back on the ringmaster, pull him up. I'm not so sure about where he's looking. Let's go back to the ringmaster. And I was saying before, I might want to move him, make him a little bigger. Move him around like that. But his eyes are still not right. I remember this coming up in a drawing on one of the Thursdays. Was trying to make sure that it's clear he's looking. Right, he's supposed to be looking down at those kids. I guess. I mean, the other alternative is that he's looking at us. Kind of liking that better. But this certainly is a detail that I can change. See how quickly that changes, right? I just move that dot around, and it changes the. I don't have to change anything else about him. It gives him a different feel. Charlie Brown, Steve Winter, who's here. Hello, Steve Winter. Um, Steve says I always thought of Linus having a peanut-shaped head. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. Charlie Brown's dad was a barber, so he probably got frequent haircuts. That, and in fact, yes, that was one of the things that I read and heard Schultz saying, that was part of his thinking. His dad was a barber, and he kept his hair nice and short. And as Shadowmane RPG says, Schultz's father was a barber also. There we go. That is still, I don't know. And then we've got the Gloom Dragon. So right now I'm thinking about whether I want to do the inking and drawing on these characters before I tackle the Gloom Dragon. I see Dale has noticed that Steve entered the room. Steve has entered the room. I think I am. I think so. Here's my thing. I'm doing these all in different layers, so I can do the Gloom Dragon anywhere I want. But he's going to be the background, um, and I want him to interact with these characters. I think that I could just go to another layer and draw the Gloom Dragon, or I could finish these characters and then do the Gloom Dragon in reaction to, or in um, so it's definitely interacting with the final version of what these are going to be. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back here and turn off the kids, turn off the Gloom Dragon, and have just our Ringmaster guy here. And let's lock that so I don't draw on it again. And we'll do some inks on him. Drop the opacity on that a little. I've got to unlock it to do that. I want to lock it so that I don't draw on that layer. If you watch the Thursday show in particular, that will sometimes happen because because I'm talking and moving around and showing other things and moving between layers. I will sometimes touch the pad in a way that causes it to undo when I didn't mean it to, and that will sometimes draw me back from one layer to another. If I draw on the wrong layer, that just causes me all kinds of problems. But if I lock the layers that I'm not using, which is what I just did over here on the side, I can create that for layer 2. You see there's that little closed lock thing next to it. If I swipe left, lock and unlock are options you can do for each layer. And if you lock it, you can no longer change what's on that layer. And that will prevent me from drawing or doing anything else on that layer. And another thing you may have seen pop up sometimes is if I try, all the other layers are invisible, and if you try and do something on a layer that's invisible, the program stops you and says, that's an invisible layer. Do you want to turn it visible, or do you want to go to a layer that you can see? It's a really terrific program, Procreate. Smart in all the ways I want it to be smart, and without having that any overwhelming kind of AI stepping in, and some of the Adobe products, as they've been adding AI material into them, you get the program trying to think ahead of you. Say, oh, it's like Clippy in the in Word, in the Microsoft Word. Just pop up in an annoying way and say, "Ooh, I see you're doing this. You want me to do that?" And you tell it, "No, Clippy, I don't. Go die in a virtual fire." Everyone hates Clippy, right? Everyone's with me on that. Clippy sucks. That does not seem like a controversial position to take. Um, let's see. Put lower so that the dragon's eyes are at the same height as the ringmaster's. Yeah, that's again one of the advantages I think of me drawing the ringmaster in whole is that I can explore a lot of those options. But in order to do them, I I have to finish the ringmaster. Right, working from sketches, working from the sketch stages, you don't learn those things. It's only when you've got the finished pieces on the board, as it were. That you can see them and really move them around. Uh, I mean, it's not really true, but because in the past, when you weren't working digitally, you had to figure all that ahead of time. But what that meant was doing a lot of sketches, a lot uh, of pre work, so that you could figure out exactly what you wanted the finished work to be, because you had to do it right. You had to do it right the first time, more or less. Now, the fun advantage of working digitally is you don't have to do all that pre work, but it also means that, well, that you can wait until later to make those decisions. Hmm. That eye, one of these eyes is not coming across right. I think the one on the left is the one that's not coming across right, because I want him to be looking at us. Right, my choices were having him look down or having him look at the viewer. There we go, that's better. Chris says this guy reminds me of Snidely Whiplash. In a way, yeah, certainly that facial hair is a version of the curly Q mustache and little devil chin that Snidely had. I'm a big wacky racers and Snidely Whiplash and his flying machines fan. Doesn't surprise me that he comes through like that when I've got to draw an evil ringmaster. But not there was not an intention as an homage. But yeah, I'll take the rap that there is for sure some Snidely Whiplash in this guy. Matthew Snow, it looks like you're trying to insult a 90s virtual assistant. Would you like some help with that? That's funny. That's funny. Okay. puffy shirt. Oh, Snidely was doubly. You're right. You're 100%, boy. Shadow Domain. You are. I'm. Wow. I'm embarrassed at myself. Yes, Snidely. Dick Dastardly is who I was just describing, and Snidely Whiplash is Dudley Do-Right. And I'm embarrassed for having made that mistake. I usually get pretty snooty about that kind of thing myself. Thank you for catching me on it. I appreciate that. As embarrassing as it is, I appreciate it. Snidely Whiplash. That's right, Do-Right. Oh, I was about to start doing a Dudley Do-Right impression. I think that I will refrain. Save you all from that. uh, Dale says, have I seen the Wacky Races board game? I have not. Is that something that's come out recently, or is that an old rack? I mean, if there, I'm aware of an old Wacky Races board game, but I never played it. Is that something that someone has licensed and done recently? If so, I need to go find me one of those and try it out. I remember when Wacky Races. It turns out I thought I remembered when Wacky Races first came on, but having gone back and done some research, that's not true. But I do remember when there were some cereal box toys of the Wacky Racers came out and trying to get. We certainly didn't eat enough cereal in my house for us to get all of them, and there were 3 kids that had to share the prizes, so I certainly could not have gotten all of them myself. But yes, I am a big Wacky Races fan from way back, and I would love to know about a board game. Jim Louder has a copy of 2019. Jim Louder has a copy. Of course, Jim Louder has a copy, and I mean that in a most loving, admiring way, not at all jealous or mocking, and yet maybe a little bit of both. Yeah, this is a guy who's going to come into town and steal your kids, right? I was just watching. I was seeing what uh, Paul Rua. Oh, hello, Paul Rua. Thank you for popping in. Hey, Cindy Robertson, how you feeling? I just right before I came on, I saw a note that you were not feeling so well earlier today and might have gone off to the urgent care. Hope you're doing better. Um, Paul Rua says Wacky Races was an amazing cartoon. They could easily have spun off every character into their own cartoon, like they did with Dastardly and Muttley and Penelope Pitstop and the Anthill Mob, the Anthill Gang. Um, yeah, you're absolutely right. And the Gruesomes kind of I don't either came out of or uh, were parlayed over into the characters that appeared on uh, as neighbors on the Flintstones a couple of times. Um, so they kind of got around. Yeah, but a lot of the others, Professor Pat Pending, he could have had his own series. That would have been fun. Let's say I was watching a video on it, and the internet being what it is these days, I don't rely that what was said in it was true, but they certainly seem to have some interviews with a few people who might know about the Wacky Races and how it had originally um, actually had some intention uh, to be used for where no one would know who the winners would be, and that there would be some uh, gambling aspect to it. And that it you know what, I'm trying to remember, there was some reason why, even though the show was a wild success, before that even happened, it was decided there was some problem, I think, with the um, information leaking from the animation house, and they just decided they couldn't do it anymore, and the show was canceled and was not coming back again before it ever had a chance uh, to prove how popular it was. I was a really big fan. I really like what they did with the Penelope Pitstop, the Perils of Penelope Pitstop. Um, it's another Hanna Barbera thing where the joke was one that for the grown ups, like um, my brother and sisters, I recall, didn't really like the Penelope Pitstop cartoon as much as I did. Uh, I really enjoyed the. Although I certainly am too young to have partaken of it, I was aware of the serials that uh, it was pastiching, and the Hooded Claw and all those cliffhangers, which were very Batman-esque too. That's certainly what it felt like to us as kids. But you know, it was all of those were playing off those old those Saturday matinee serials. And of course, having Paul Lynde do the voice for the Hooded Claw didn't hurt. But even back then, I liked uh, the pulpiness of it. Don't worry, Paul Rua. I won't. I won't out you on that one. Help! Help! All right. Tell you what. I'm not loving those. Those two hands look like they come from two different characters. So I'm gonna have to. I like the first ones I did, so these are gonna have to change. Unless he got those that hand caught in a car door, and it just has ballooned up into a ridiculous size. That's not gonna go. That's better. Uh, Yogi's Space Race, the arc. Yeah, I'm looking here. Oh, sorry, I'm looking here. Cindy says still in more pain than a human. Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. I hope you're feeling. I hope that you know what's causing it, or they know, and you, it's going to go away sometime soonish. Anyway, I feel for you. I wish I had more than that for you, but that's what I got. All right, there we go. Turn off the sketch layer and see what that looks like. Even more so than on the Thursday show, on the Random Encounter show, where I do this. I turn off the sketch layer and see where I might need to add more line work. For a finished piece like this, I absolutely have to do that. Clean up the lines where they're not working right and make sure that I add enough extra bits here and there to give it texture throughout. The lapels are one of the things I'm wondering about, because I'm definitely going to make those very, very dark. But I shouldn't rely on them. Giving them the right feeling's a little tough. Little bit of a challenge for this old cartoonist. Alright, well, changing those fingers means I need to also redo the end of the handle, the whip handle. Sorry, I got to concentrate a little on this. It's taking me away from my entertaining patter. All right, that there, I think, is our uh, Ringmaster character. Turn back on our kids in the front. I'm going to drop the opacity on the Ringmaster character. I guess I don't. Yeah, I don't need him to be there at all for working on the kids, but I'm going to keep him there just as a reminder of where I think he's going to live. I'm not sure. So again, I'm thinking about. Let me come back and turn on the rough sketch again, so you see that. So again, this idea of the kids having this very dark silhouette. I'm immediately thinking about how am I going to color that. And as I said before, I want to draw them so I know what their whole face looks like. I just don't know in the end with the shading what that's going to be like. Oh well. See, I suppose in theory the worst thing that'll happen is uh, I wind up putting a almost opaque shadow over a lot of these details. It's possible that's what's going to wind up happening. Maybe not. Again, I'm thinking ahead, and I need to do work where I'm at, and not let those other decisions, those other thoughts, keep me from doing what's in front of me. Oh, do 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 do. I don't know if any of you folks noticed that, Michael, you had suggested last year, in fact, that I do more coloring book style releases. Um, if you are subscribers to the 50 Years in the Dungeon .substack.com newsletter, I released a coloring book page, a coloring page of the drawing I was working on last week. And I will be doing that more often. As I finish these line drawings, I suppose I could go back and show some of that in a bit too, or as I finish these line drawings, having done these things on different layers, you can see right here where when I finish this, and if I turn all the lines on, you'll be able to see through the kids' faces to the ringmaster behind, where it's working in physical media when I didn't draw the whole of the character. You'd just have what you see in the finished version. But because I do it this way, wind up with a lot of extra lines you can see through that become a big jumbly mess of lines on top of lines. But it's a very easy process for me to go in and just drop a solid white underneath a layer that's going to end up being opaque, that you don't want to see through. And then once I do that, the whole thing looks like a coloring page. In fact, hold on a second. Let me just finish this kid, and then I'll go and show what I did and what you can get. All right, he's looking good. Yes, okay, so let me come back to just me on the screen while I'm going to come and plunk through here, and I go over to the 50 Years in the Dungeon. Yeah, so the piece I was drawing last week, here we go. Yeah, so I was working on the homage to Dragons of War. And when we were done, this is what it looked like, right? You can see all of the layers, you can see through them. Right? So if I turn them off, you can see this right here. We've just got the dragon and the main characters. But when I add in the shrapnel layer, some of that is meant to be... Actually, I think that the shrapnel needs to go on top, because some of that is in front of the dragon. But you can still see through it. And when I turn on the explosion, you can see through all of them to that. So you just get this big mess. But if I drop opaque white onto some of the layers, you get... Come over here. Come on. And I come over here, go to the coloring pages. I can turn it into that. Because, let's see. So you can see I put a solid white under the things that are in front of other things. So that now it's a finished piece that you can color. And as I say, I printed this out and I put this as something you can download if you are a subscriber to the free 50 Years in the Dungeon .substack.com. That'll be there right now. I think that the members of my Patreon community will get that. I either got that today or tomorrow. I did the 50 Years in the Dungeon one on Monday, I think. I don't know. I can't keep track of this stuff. I need an assistant. So there we go. Yeah. So you can. Come back here again. Yeah, you can get this coloring page. Just download for your own use and coloring fun. And have at it. And I'm going to be doing more of that this year as we go along for both my Patreon followers and for the people who are subscribers to the 50 Years in the Dungeon newsletter. I will take the drawings as I finish them and create coloring versions. Back here, back to the drawings. So let's do this. I'm on the correct layer. Yes, I am. For those of you who've come in during the middle of all this, I will let you know, as I did at the beginning, that this is a drawing that's going to be the cover for an adventure that Bill Slavicsek, former VP of R&D for Wizards of the Coast. Currently, he is one of the lead writer, the head writer, or the manager of writer. I don't remember his title is, but he's working at ZeniMax Studios on Elder Scrolls Online, and he has his own little third-party OGL / D&D concern. He's published a couple of adventures already. I did the art for them, and this is the third one that I'm working on now. And if you look for Radiant Storms and Slavicsek, Slavicsek, Slavicsek. It's hard to spell, but if you search for that online, it will take you to the Drive-Thru RPG page where you can look at his adventures and maybe buy them on your own. They're quite good. And not just because they have such wonderful illustrations. I think those of you who are maybe going to GaryCon next month, that Bill will have some of his adventures and maybe even a preview of this adventure. I don't know that my art will be ready for it, but I think that he will have some of those at GaryCon. So say hi to him, and check out the stuff. 5e, yes, they are. They are 5e uh, current third party material. Bill wants to, he wants to be approachable to people who were not around for his original works on D&D. He wants to do stuff for the new crowd too. Hmm, those look too much like eyelashes. I want them to look sunken-eyed, not like they've got a lot of mascara on. I'm also starting to think about coloring these too. Thinking about skin, but first of all, thinking about how far I'm going with the shadow. But then secondarily, I'm thinking about skin tone and ethnicity. So I don't only draw pasty pink skinned Caucasians. Boom, boom, boom. Not loving that mouth. Not quite. So, I mean, you see what I was saying earlier about playing around with head shapes and letting your characters be recognizable. One of the things that you think about when you're doing character design, any of you watched any videos or read articles about that kind of thing, you always talk about the character silhouette. You want them to be recognizable. Hopefully, if all they are is a complete silhouette, like if any of these kids was in complete silhouette, if all I did was black them out, the the complete light behind them, so it's you can't see any of the details. Kind of um, like the original sketch, right? If it's just silhouetted. If I go so far as to do that on these characters, given those given those head shapes, you would still, if they were characters you knew, if it was going to be a comic or a show, you could tell them apart by their silhouette. And yet, I dare say, I hope that looking at them, without me bringing this subject up, you don't think, wow, that one kid's head is really long, or maybe you do because I exaggerated a bit, but that one's round and that one's almost triangular and that other one's like a football. It just looks like that was the character design. That's what they look like. It's only when you start thinking about drawing them that this kind of thing will have to be actively in mind. Make sure they all have that sallow cheeked look. And see me snapping back like that is when you're drawing anything, you have a tendency to focus in on where you're looking, and it's important when I'm drawing on my own. I'm not necessarily zooming in and zooming out like that. I'm uh, I'm looking in and then standing back and looking at it. I see I've got a little lag on my video. That's not a good sign. It tells me that I may want to end this stream soon. Um, but when you're drawing digitally and you can zoom in to draw, that it's important to every once in a while zoom out and come on. Zoom out and look at it in a greater context. Maybe. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Making matters even worse. Okay, so that's locked up. Let me get off here. And what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to... So when that kind of lag starts happening, I know that I'm having some problem of memory. So I've gonna stop sharing the screen for a second, try and reconnect that. And see if this solves the problem. That phone call was apparently the last bit of memory something involved in this could deal with. And if I do this, how's it looking? I haven't seen a comment from the chat in a while. Oh, but it does look like we still got about a dozen people watching, so hopefully no one's saying anything that I'm not seeing. Come back and switch the view. Still lagging a little. All right, so it's back working. What is going on with my computer here? Hold on a second. Go. Okay. Maybe more things turned on than I intended to, but okay, that worked. Maybe this will serve to solve the problem. Test, says Dale. Okay, good, yes. I see that, Dale. Thank you for helping me out there. I'm fine with people just watching and not chatting if you don't want to. I'm also fine with people sending questions and chatting if you want to. I just want to know that if I have a problem so I can try and correct it. Anyway, I now no longer remember what it was I was talking about, so I'm just going to move along. Oh, it's saying zooming in and zooming out. Yeah, so it's important after when you're drawing to... here I'm trying to get the details right, but I often will talk about the fact that you don't want to draw... One of the dangers in drawing digitally is you can put so much detail in when you can look this close that when you look at the final picture is just too much information, and no one will see what it is that's going on. All right, so that's freezing up again. All right, I tell you what, this I think is a sign that here we're at 2 hours, spent a good amount of time uh, drawing. Got most of the way through it, and before I have some kind of more systematic crash, I'm gonna log off. I'm gonna finish drawing these the lines on these characters, and then maybe do a little coloring. We'll see. As I said, so this was a different kind of show than usual. It's not the 50 Years in the Dungeon um, per se. Like, I'm not interviewing. I'm not doing a homage. This is just a Studio with Stan episode, or in the Studio with Stan episode, uh, where I'm working on a freelance illustration. And one of the reasons I'm doing it, I said at the beginning of the show, is that between my freelancing work and other my main project that I have to get done, and other things, this project was kind of getting shunted to the side, and I don't want that. I want to finish it because Bill is looking for it so that he can publish this new adventure. So this was my way of killing two birds with one stone, right? I can come on and have a show, and we can talk about stuff, and I will get work done on this. I still need to get more work done on this, so maybe I will do, depending on how my writing projects go. As long as I'm caught up on those, I may do another one of these in the studio episodes to do more work on this drawing. It will, if that happens, it will be an unannounced or last minutes, only slightly announced episode. So you should make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, which will be the best way to find out when I'm going live if I haven't announced it ahead of time. So please, no matter where you're watching this right now, and everyone I see who's chatting is on YouTube, if you're not subscribed, and I think you all are, thank you very kindly. But if you're not, please do click that subscribe button. And if you hit that little bell icon, it'll let you know when I go live, and you can come and see. Oh, I didn't know Sam was going to be on, but here he is. If you want to see things when they are finished, there are two things you can do. If they are 50 Years in the Dungeon related, well then for sure the 50 Years in the Dungeon.substack.com is the place to go. I put all the art up there when it's done. As I said, that's where I certainly have already posted that coloring page. If you want to see all the stuff I'm doing, well, then you want to consider being a member of my Patreon community at patreon.com/Stanex, where anything that I release publicly, I make sure that my patrons get a post where they don't have to go searching for it. I bring it to them so they can see all my stuff. They will, if I don't remember whether I posted the coloring page to the Patreon yet, but if I haven't, it's coming. It'll be there too. So patreon.com/Stanex or 50 Years in the Dungeon /substack.com. There's no slash in there. 50 Years in the Dungeon.substack.com. Thank you all for joining me tonight. I've had a very good time doing this. It's been a blast. I'm sorry that I'm getting this lag and other hints that there's going to be a problem soon. I would keep going. On this, but all of the omens are here saying that if I do, we're going to have a systemic crash, and the stream's going to end anyway. So let's just wrap it up here. I will be back tomorrow night with a new episode of Random Encounters. Hope you can join me there. Thank you, everyone who is here. So many people tonight. I'm not even going to go and try and remember all the names because I'll forget someone and then I'll feel bad. So I'll just say thank you to you all for being here and having fun with me. I hope that you had a good time, and I look forward to chatting with you next time. Until tomorrow night or whenever we meet again, take care, everyone.